Hello, hello! This week's big palette of the week. I've officially begun my full St. Patrick's Day, March vibes kind of palettes, and per a little poll that I did, y'all said y'all wanted to see the green palettes first. So I've had this in my collection for a really long time. I'm going to start off with a little mini review of this single shade, and I didn't want it to have its own dedicated video because it's just a kind of small one-off piece. This is the shade Scorpius from CXC Beauty. I believe I got this in my large mystery box that I ordered over a year ago. I think that's what it was. Nothing on here says CXC Beauty. It's see-through. You can see that it is a kind of champagne base with some green and purple kind of reflect, and I'm bringing it up with this palette because I ended up using this sparkle for the shades in this palette. Half of this palette is matte, half of this palette is shimmers. So I used this shimmer on some of the looks that I did where they were fully matte shades from this, and I popped on some sparkle. So I'll talk about this in a moment, but I just wanted to swatch this. This was nice. It is a very light kind of sparkle. It is not super heavy. I think I'm just going to dip my pinky into it. I don't think this ever had any sort of top. It's just like fully there. Okay, I'm going to be really careful. You always want to be careful when you want to breathe this stuff in. I'm just going to dip my pinky into the cap and I'll swatch it. And it's very light. I really had to pack it on to get it to the level that I like. But it's a very fine formula. Personally, I think I'm going to pass this on because I don't, as pretty as it is, and I do like it and I think it worked well, I don't think I had any issue with it. My thing is just how often do I think I'm going to reach for this? And I just don't think I would grab this single. I feel like I'm just more likely to just grab a palette that has the kind of shimmer that I like. So, I mean, I do recommend if that's something that you're interested in, if you're interested in loose shimmer. I did like the CXC Beauty one. Just personally, I think I'm ready to pass this on after having used this for a couple looks. And I do love that they put this in here. It's shade, like I said again, Scorpius. I am a Scorpio, so I wonder if they knew that when they threw that in here. But no, I do like it and I do recommend. So just a quick little touch on that, and now we'll go to the main event, which is this Makeup Revolution color book in CB05. CB color book 05, color book 5. This is the teal to blue color book. Y'all, this color book collection from Makeup Revolution is old. It came out 5 or 6 years ago. I've had this in my collection, I think, for, Lord, maybe like 3 years. It's taken me a while to get to this collection, and to be honest, I'm pretty sure I had it delivered directly from the website just because I don't see like a TJ Maxx or a Ross sticker directly on the packaging, so that makes me think that I'm pretty sure I probably ordered this from online. As always, if I find the receipt for it, I'll put the pricing that I got this for down below, but pretty much that's the only place you're going to be able to find it now, I think, because this collection is so old. And there's different versions. I think there's like a black and white one. I think there's a like maybe, is it light purples to purples or purples to blues kind of thing? But I picked this up because I really, really love teals. I love mint green shades. I think they're so freaking pretty. Jeffree Star really put me onto the mint green shades. I love mint green. So I picked this up, and it took me a long time to really get to it, because as you'll see here in the palette, you've probably seen this before. So here's the actual palette. It pretty much looks more or less the same, and then you have the sticker up there, and it shows you what the palette inside looks like. But here's the actual palette, and I love how simple it is. It tells you what colors are in there pretty much immediately. There's no mirror in here because it is fully a palette, like truly a, you know, beauty, makeup, like MUA kind of palette. And on this side we have the matte shades, and on this side we have the shimmer shades. So because I was going by, sometimes I would do quads, sometimes I would just go down the row depending on how I was feeling that day. So some looks that I was doing over here, I'd started over here, and so I needed some shimmer because I love a shimmery look. I don't really do fully matte looks. That's just not really my vibe. This I had a lot of fun with. I had a lot of fun. It reminded me of my youth because I used to only use shimmer shades growing up. I did fully shimmer shades. I really didn't use matte shades until I started buying Jeffree Star because the formulas from drugstore were just not good. You can see here it's almost down the middle. You've got your green shades on this side, and then we turn into a little bit of teal, and then it's into blue. And I love a teal. We love a teal. We have our mint shades over here. We have some limes, forest greens. We got our teals, our sky blue kind of shades. And then we have these, which are kind of more like denim blues. This is like a really pretty cornflower kind of blue. Like, it's really nice. I think overall, see, this is the trouble I have, because the light shades in here, there's some trouble with some of the light shades. Some of them are a little too light, and I really had to pack them on. And then there's other shades in here that are so beautiful and bright and vibrant and saturated and just so incredibly beautiful for whatever the cost was for this palette. I can't imagine it being that much, but they're just so pretty. The shimmer formula is the typical drugstore shimmer formula that I love. The kind of shimmer formula that I grew up wearing is this shimmer formula down here. Feels very nostalgic to me. It is so freaking pretty, but there are some shades, the lighter shades, the very lighter shades, that I kind of had some issue with. I thought the other thing is that at this point, I've talked about this before, I have so many shades, so many palettes with so many shades. Like, this is totally an MUA palette for someone who would want to use all these colors, but at the same time, I'm like, I don't know if I want to give this away, because I do love all the colors in here. I love just the looks that I did with this, and it was so unexpected, I guess, the level of high quality looks I feel like I got from this palette. I like this little, there's a little plastic door to cover the other side while you're using one side. I think this also helps, personally, I feel like this also helps these shimmer shades stay a little bit more moisturized and not as dry. But let's do some swatches. I'm gonna do some swatches over here of these matte shades, of the lightest shades that I feel like I had issues, not that I felt like I had issues with, but just so maybe you could see, because also another issue with this palette is that some of the shades, because it's a lot of the same shade, right? It's a bunch of greens, it's a bunch of blues. You find some shades in here that are only just a hair of a difference and don't really make much of a difference on the eye. Oh, I love that one. So these last two aren't too bad, but those first two are so light. So I'll go in again, just to be polite. Here's the blue again. Here's that teal green again. Very, very light. I'll go to this green again. I think that's the right green. There you go. Go to this blue again. There we go. They seem a little bit better now. But on my eye, they kind of disappear. I really had to try and pack it on, and then ultimately it just felt like they kind of completely disappeared. But then you have some other shades, for example, oh, I'm about to stain my fingers, you know, a blue like this, that one was really good. You know, let's do a darker shade, maybe over here, let's do a blue over here, maybe another darker shade over here. Very bright shades. And then these you could totally see on my skin, and it's fine. I didn't dig enough into that one. I didn't want to stain my skin. Look how dark it is. This is like that super sky blue. This one I'm definitely gonna have to dig in again because I didn't get enough. Okay, whoop, whoop, whoop. Look how pigmented that is. It's just so pigmented. They're really pretty. Okay, now I want to swatch some of the shimmer shades that we have over here, and then this is what I'm talking about. I think I'm going to start off with, let's start off with these four. Like, I feel like you can see they're just a couple hairs all a bit different, but I'll look at these obviously, so I want to see for myself on my arm what the difference is. This one feels a little hard panned, because I feel like these didn't really apply as well as they should have. Okay. There's that first one, that's the lightest one. The next lightest one. Also, some of these were a little too crumbly. Some of these applied fine. Some of these were a little too crumbly. So you can definitely tell that's a different shade to this shade. But these first two, they look almost exactly the same. There's like, for some reason that second one looks a little bit lighter. This one right here looks a little bit lighter. Let's put a little bit more of this one. Okay, those last two, a couple hairs of a difference. You can definitely tell those first two, I feel like this one has a little bit more white and this one has a little bit more color, but it's not that different. On the eye, I don't think it's going to make that much of a difference. But I feel like these mint shades that I was most excited about ended up being kind of some of the weaker shades. The shades that I did like from this side, this not periwinkle, I think it's like called like a cornflower blue, I thought was so freaking pretty. It's so unique, such a unique shade. And then we'll go over, let's do some greens. I feel like we've done a lot of blues. Let's go over here into this one, these kind of lime greens. Let's do this other limeish green, not a lot less chartreuse. And then maybe let's do this green. A little bit more green to our palette. So this one I thought was so pretty. It's not really a shade I see too often. That kind of, as they say, cornflower blue. We have a green that's a lot more chartreuse. And I don't think any of these have names. This one's a lot more lemon lime. And then we have this really deep green. But these are all like the kind of metallic shimmers that I grew up. I think those are all so pretty. And then to have these darker ones, I really like as well. I really like how bright this palette is. It's such a really good, and I think you could say this is really the ultimate St. Patrick's Day palette, because as much as we use green for St. Patrick's Day, the Saint Patrick, his colors are actually blue. As far as I can remember, his color's actually blue. So the blue and the green, like, that totally goes together. If you are manic for some blues and greens, I think this is such a great palette. It sucks that, you know, you're not gonna find these anymore. You're gonna have to find them either resold or, you know, somewhere being sold like at a TJ Maxx or something. But I think if I were to get another one, there's one that kind of has like these sunset, like yellow to orange to red, I think. But I think that might be too much because I have so many sunset kind of colored palettes. But this is a really nice addition to my collection. As always, I'm going to, I think, save it for now. But I can totally see myself eventually giving this away to an MUA, because there's no way I think I'm ever going to hit pan on these. But I'm sure that there is an MUA out there who could do some really beautiful green and blue looks. What do you think about a palette like this? Like, I think for most people this is probably a little too much, but for others this is like the right amount. But other than that, I'm gonna let y'all go. Don't forget this CXC Beauty Scorpius single loose shade, and look at all those colors, so beautiful. Y'all have a great day.